Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss consolidation test results from the chapter Consolidation of Soils. But before directly talking about results, we will be discussing about what exactly a consolidation test is and what procedure it follows. So once we understand the object of this consolidation test, we can make use of these results in actual field conditions. Consolidation test is the test which is used to determine the rate and magnitude of settlement in the soil. This test is also used for determining the final settlement of the soil for different loads, assuming the soil is laterally confined. So suppose this is soil, so it is assumed that the soil is laterally confined and the settlement and or consolidation takes place only in one direction, means only height of the soil will get decreased. So consolidation test is applicable for only one dimensional consolidation. Suppose settlement characteristics of a soil in a particular field are required to be determined. In that case, a soil sample is extracted from that field. It is laterally confined and a vertical pressure is applied on that soil. Because of this pressure, the vertical dimension of the sample will get decreased. This change in vertical dimension will be measured with the help of dial gauge reading. So, decrease in dial gauge reading will represent the decrease in thickness. So, dial gauge reading at different time interval is recorded. Suppose at time T1, the dial gauge reading will be G1. At time T2, the dial gauge reading will be G2. At time T3, dial gauge reading will be G3 and so on. So using this information, a plot of time versus gauge reading is plotted and the graph will be like this. That means as the time progresses, thickness of the sample gets decreases, and at a particular time the thickness of the sample remains constant, means the compression of that soil sample stops. So this is the final settlement of that sample SF. So if we further increase the pressure to P2, then soil will get more compressed and the final settlement obtained will be say SF2. Again, if we increase the pressure to P3, the final settlement obtained will be SF3. So we can plot the graph of pressure versus settlement or pressure versus final settlement. This settlement can be expressed in terms of void ratio. We will be discussing this in detail. The consolidation test is also useful to understand the behavior of soil when it is loaded for the first time or when it is uncompressed, also when it is recompressed. Let us discuss the procedure for the consolidation test in detail. The apparatus used for the consolidation test is called as consolidometer or oedometer. It consists of loading unit and also consisting of a cylindrical cell which is called as consolidation cell. Soil specimen is placed inside this consolidation cell. There are two porous stones. One is at the top and one is at the bottom of the soil sample. So inside this consolidation cell, there are two porous stones and soil sample is placed in between these porous stones. The main role of these stones is to allow the water to escape so that consolidation of the soil will occur. The internal surface of this consolidation cell is kept smooth so that there won't be friction between soil and the cell. This ring imposes the condition of zero lateral strain on soil sample. Means when we applied external load on the soil, the lateral strain will be zero. The lateral dimension of the soil will remain constant. Only thickness of the soil will change. There are certain arrangements are made in consolidometer so that we can apply any desired load or we can increase the load as per our requirement. Also, we can saturate soil sample and we can measure the change in thickness of the sample. Thickness of sample. So here a dial gauge is provided at the top. So with the help of this dial gauge, we can measure the change in thickness. So as the soil sample will get compressed, this arm will move downward and reading will be shown on the dial gauge. The cell is also provided with a pressure pad, a perforated. The cell is also provided with a perforated pressure pad for the uniform application of the load. The load is either applied by hanging a weight at the center of the pressure pad or by lever arrangement. This is the enlarged view of consolidation cell. In this consolidation cell, a bottom porous stone is placed first and then at the top of it a filter paper is placed. On that filter paper, a ring containing soil sample is placed. The thickness of this sample should be as small as possible so that the side friction between the ring and sample is minimum. But the minimum thickness of 20 mm is generally recommended so that uniform distribution of the pressure can be achieved. So on the top of this sample, another filter paper is placed and at the end, the top porous stone is placed on the top of the sample. Before starting the test, we have to take care of two things. The first is sample should be saturated and second thing is all the pores which are present inside the porous stone should be filled with water. So, in order to achieve this goal, the porous stones are placed inside the water and boiled for 15 minutes or they are kept submerged under water for 4 to 8 hours. And then this consolidation cell is placed in water jacket. Water jacket. So that the water has free access into and out of the sample. Now let us begin with the actual procedure which is followed for the consolidation test in detail. The first step is an initial setting pressure of 5 kilonewton per meter square is applied to the sample. This load is allowed to stand still till there is no change in dial gauge reading or 24 hours, whichever is less. And then the final dial gauge reading under this load is recorded. Final dial gauge reading is recorded. After that, the first increment of load is applied. First increment of load is applied. And this time the load will be equal to 5 into 2, which is equal to 10 kilonewton per meter square. So once we apply the first increment, we will measure dial gauge readings at different time intervals till 24 hours. So after 24 hours we will apply second increment of load, and the applied load will be equal to 10 into 2, which is equal to 20 kilonewton per meter square. Again, dial gauge readings at different time intervals are taken up to 24 hours. It is usual practice to double the previous load in each increment till the maximum desired load intensity is reached. Means for the next increment, the load will be 20 into 2, 40. After that, the load will be 80, and so on. So once the final maximum desired load is applied and dial gauge readings are taken, we will start decreasing the load. Decreasing the load. And the first decreased load will be equal to 1/4 of the final load. So because of this decrease in load, the soil sample will take water from the surrounding and it will swell. The dial gauge reading is taken when swelling of the water is completed. Dial gauge reading taken when swelling is completed. Then the load is further reduced to 1/4 intensity and the swelling after 24 hours is recorded. So it is again reduced to 1/4 intensity and swelling after 24 hours is recorded. We keep on reducing this weight until we reach the initial setting pressure, which is equal to 5 kilonewton per meter square. The load is kept for 24 hours and the final dial gauge reading is taken. So initially we do the increment of load and dial gauge readings are taken, and once we reach the final load we start reducing load, and dial gauge readings are taken. Immediately after the completion of unloading, the ring which sample is taken out from the consolidation cell. The excess surface water is dried using blotting paper. The weight of the ring and the sample is taken. Then the sample is dried in oven for 24 hours and its dry mass ms is measured and the water content is determined. So in consolidation test procedure, we determine the value of change in thickness of the soil sample at various load increment. This increment load is equal to effective pressure when consolidation gets over, because all pore water pressure is dissipated. But the result of the consolidation test are plotted in the form of plot between void ratio and effective stress. So we know the value of effective stress, which is equal to increased load, but the value of void ratio is unknown. But the change in thickness is known for particular effective stress. So we will have to determine the value of void ratio for each load increment using the value of change in thickness. So there are two methods for the determination of void ratio using the value of change in thickness or change in height. The first method is height of solids method, and the second method is change in void ratio method. So let us first discuss the height of solids method. Now let us consider this soil mass at the beginning of the experiment. So H1 is the initial height of the soil sample. These are solids, these are voids. So after consolidation, if we apply effective pressure sigma 1, then after consolidation the volume of void get reduced. So total height of the sample becomes H and height of the solids be Hs. So equivalent height of solids is determined from the dry mass of soil. So we have determined the dry mass after the unloading. So Hs is equal to Vs upon A, where Vs is the volume of solids. Volume of solids can also be written as Ms upon G rho W divided by A. So Ms is the mass of the soil, that is dry mass of the soil. G is the specific gravity of the solids. A is the cross-sectional area of the soil specimen. Now we know the formula for void ratio. It is equal to volume of voids upon volume of solids. Suppose the cross-sectional area of the soil specimen is 1 unit. So formula for E become height of voids upon height of solids. Height of voids is equal to H minus Hs divided by Hs. The value of H is obtained from the value at the beginning of the experiment minus change in thickness for that particular load. So this change in thickness is subtracted from the total height of the soil sample. So the formula for determining the void ratio for particular load increment is E equal to H, that is final height after consolidation at that load minus height of solids upon height of solids. Now the second method is change in void ratio method. Now let us discuss the second method, which is change in void ratio method. This is the phase diagram for the soil. These are solids, voids. This is height of voids and this is height of solid. Suppose height of solid is considered as 1 unit. In that case, void ratio will be equal to height of voids upon 1, which is equal to height of voids. So this is void ratio, which is equal to height of voids. Now when we apply a load increment, the soil gets consolidated and its height decreases. Suppose delta H is the decrease in height. So this is the final height of voids, HFV. So final void ratio will be HFV upon 1, that is equal to HFV. So this height will also represent final void ratio. Now delta H is equal to HV minus HFV, that is equal to E minus EF. It is also written as delta E. Hence delta H become equal to delta E. So we can write delta H upon HF. This is the final height of the soil, HF, equal to delta E upon 1 plus EF. So delta E becomes equal to 1 plus EF upon HF into delta H. So we can determine the value of EF by Wg. EF equal to Wg, as we have measured water content at the end of our experiment. Delta H value can be measured with the help of dial gauge and HF will be the final height of the soil. So using this we can measure the value of delta E. Now let us discuss consolidation test results in detail. The first presentation of the test results will be in the form of dial gauge reading, versus time plot. So in this plot we can see time is represented on x-axis, dial gauge reading is represented on y-axis. When we apply certain pressure, say sigma 1, to the soil, its thickness goes on decreasing. This decrease in thickness is measured with the help of dial gauge. So decrease in dial gauge reading represents decrease in thickness of the soil sample. So in this plot we can see that immediately after the application of load, that means at t equal to 0, the thickness of the soil sample is maximum. This thickness gradually decreases as the time progresses. This decrease in thickness is rapid initially, but it slows down as the time passes. So here we can see that initially the rate of decrease of thickness is rapid. After that it slows down. The change in thickness occurs mainly due to expulsion of water. That's why permeability of soil plays an important role in this. Sand is more permeable as compared to clay. That's why in sand, change in thickness occurs quickly and stops after few minutes due to its high permeability. Whereas change in thickness in clay occurs at comparatively lower rate. After 24 hours, there will be no change in thickness. That means the plot will be a straight horizontal line because its thickness will remain constant after 24 hours. So this graph is plotted for a single incremental pressure, say sigma 1 bar. So the final thickness due to this pressure will be obtained after T equal to 24 hours, and the final thickness will be equal to say TF1. If we increase the pressure to sigma 2 bar, the thickness will further reduce and the final thickness will be TF2. If we further increase the pressure to sigma 3 bar, the thickness will again decrease to TF3 and so on. So that when we increase the pressure, the thickness of the soil decreases and hence volume of the soil is also decreases. This decrease in volume is represented as change in void ratio, and we have already discussed how to determine the change in void ratio. So there are again two methods we have discussed, which is height of solids and change in void ratio method. So using one of these two methods, we can find the value of delta E. So another graph can be plotted for different values of sigma bar, that is effective pressure versus void ratio, and the graph will be like this, means as the effective pressure increases, void ratio decreases. So this is the effective stress versus final void ratio plot. So in this plot also we can see that as the value of effective stress increases, the value of final void ratio decreases. So at lower effective stress, we can see that the value of final void ratio is maximum, and as the value of effective stress increases, the corresponding value of final void ratio decreases. This plot is required for the determination of magnitude of consolidation settlement in the field. Now the third plot obtained is final void ratio versus log sigma plot. This graph is plotted on semi-log graph paper where EF is plotted on the natural scale and effective stress is plotted on log scale. The curve has concavity upwards. The slope of this curve decreases with increase in effective stress. Suppose a soil mass is subjected to the loading for the first time. In that case, increase in effective stress will result in decrease in void ratio. So here In this plot, the curve portion AB represents loading curve. In this region, the soil is subjected to that particular pressure for the first time. So when the load is increased up to maximum allowable load, then we stop loading the soil. Here point B represents the point with maximum allowable pressure sigma 2 bar. The soil is allowed to consolidate, and after that the pressure is reduced and sample is allowed to take up water and swell. So as we reduce the loading, soil sample swells and its void ratio increases. So curve portion B, E, C represents unloading curve. Where we are reducing the load. So as we reduce the effective pressure, void ratio is getting increased. Now this specimen which has swelled up to point C is again reloaded. That means we again start increasing the load, and the curve obtained during this reloading will be CFD. This curve is called as reloading curve. So in reloading, again if we increase the effective pressure, decrease in void ratio will take place. So in short, when we do the loading on the soil sample for the first time, then the loading curve AB is obtained. When we remove the load on the soil sample, the curve BEC is obtained, which is called unloading curve. And when we again apply the loading, then curve CFB is obtained. This curve is called as reloading curve. So here we can observe that for the same value of effective stress, the void ratio in reloading curve is lower than the void ratio of loading curve. Thank you for watching.